you actually went into service before the war.
Yes.
Tell us how that came about. You were working at, on the...
Well, they come out with this, you can join the service for just 1 year, and then they had to let you get out again when when you finished that year. That was all you had to do. So this Al Buglio and myself, and we both joined that. And we went to a place off of New London, Fort Wright.
So you completed 1 year, got out of the service. This is before World War II started, and you were with the, what was the outfit you were with?
The 242nd.
Okay.
Coast Artillery.
You got a picture of that. Can you hold that up so I can see that?
At 242nd Coast Artillery, yeah.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a picture of that. So that's the company that you were with. This is prior to World War II, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about prior to the war. You were working. Then you went to work where?
Remington Arms
Okay.
in Bridgeport. Yeah.
And what were you doing there?
I was carting powder to load the machine guns, and
So you were making bullets at
and
that
bullets.
time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then along comes, and you were living in Bridgeport at the time.
Right.
On what street were you on at that time?
Harold Avenue.
And how many members in your family?
How many members?
Yeah, who was in your family? To talk about your...
Well, I had 7 sisters and 3 brothers. But one sister has already passed away, the first one.
Okay, and were you the oldest? Where were you in the family?
I was the, well, say there was 10. I was number 9, and Edith was number 10.
Okay.
Edith was the youngest.
So did you get a draft notice in 1943 to go into service? Is that how you ended up in the war, in the Army?
Yeah.
Did you pick the Army, or did they pick you?
Well, they gave us a choice. What do you want, Army, Navy, or Marines? You're in the Army now, or you're in the Navy now. They just go to from where the government said, we need so many more guys in the Navy, you know, and that's why they gave you that choice. But you didn't get the choice. But they had to ask you anyway. That was a funny one, you know.
So you end up in the Army, and they send you to boot camp where?
This is, now you're talking about the first time I went in.
No.
The second time?
Talk about the war.
We went to Texas.
Okay.
And there was an infantry, the 86th Black Hawk Division, and we trained there.
Anything about the training you remember?
Well, yeah, it was a basic all infantry changing. Yeah.
No problems with the
No.
training.
No. From there, they sent us down to Texas, and I went through a training there. Then one morning, they called me and a couple other guys, and they shipped us out. We had to go down to San Francisco, escorted by Army, of course. And we left San Francisco, and we went to down towards Australia. But I didn't get off in Australia. They put more troops on our ship who were waiting for us in Australia, and they sent us to New Guinea. And that's where we started fighting, was right in New Guinea.
Okay, so now you're in a combat zone in New Guinea. Uh, Talk about that first experience when do you recall when you first got there? What was it like when you first got to New Guinea? Do you remember anything about that?
Well, I remember some of the Japs had died through starvation or different things, and the smell of the dead bodies as we went through the swamps of the jungle of New Guinea was horrible, you know. And then we got to a point called the Drinamore River where the Japs had set up. So we had to set up fast and get our machine guns and our...
By setting up, you mean setting up, expecting the
Yeah.
Japanese to attack you?
Yeah. So,
And what was your job in your outfit? What did you have to do?
well, of course, I was a private there, and just had to keep on the alert. And we noticed that there was Japs sneaking down the river. So I see this one Jap coming down. So I get up and I shot him. And and it just turned night then. When we woke up in the morning, that Jap that I shot, he must have been dead for 2 weeks. You know? But he would just let go, and he was coming down the river, the Drinamore River, and he was dead. As far as I know, he was dead when I shot him.
I see.
A little bit humorous, if you...
So this is when you first get to New Guinea. So now, were there battles? Did the Japanese end up attacking you?
Yeah.
And did you? Can you talk about the experiences? Were there casualties and so forth?
Oh yeah, we had. It was more like a routine. The Japs would take a job trying to get us, and we'd do one getting them. Well, we were getting better because we got rid of a lot of them. And finally, we cleared it pretty good, where then the army behind us, who had these troops from the 32nd Division, moved them up so they could get in combat position. And that's where we really started battling away.
Talk about the nights there. What was it like at night in a combat zone where you had the enemy out there? What was that like in the evenings?
Well, the heat was really tremendous. There was a jungle, and we had no place to go to the bathroom. Of course, that's kind of ridiculous to even say bathroom. When we had to go, the swamps right around us, we just took down our pants and we went. Of course, in the morning you'd see all this stuff floating by. It wasn't good.
What did you do for food?
Huh?
What did you do for food when you were in a combat zone?
Food?
Yes.
They gave us this ration, a jungle ration, and
Which consisted
we ate
of
that.
what?
Huh?
What was in the jungle ration? Does anything at all stand out in your mind? Do you remember
It was some
anything?
it was some kind of a biscuit, and it was something like a prunes or something. I forget what it was. Now, this is over 60 years ago now.
But you'd eat it regardless. Was it okay? I mean...
Oh yeah, kept you alive, you know.
So you didn't have hot meals then when you...
What's that?
And you didn't have hot meals at that time?
No.
No hot meals? No.
They had hot meals, but they couldn't get them to us.
I see. About how long a period of time? Do you have any idea how long were you in that combat zone in New Guinea? Where it was.
At one place, 2 or 3 months.
And then what eventually happened? Did you finally overrun the enemy? Did you? What eventually happened? You cleared the island?
Oh, the Japs pulled out. They were trying to get to, Hollandia in New Guinea. So they pulled out, and
Excuse me, but am I right in saying New Guinea was your first combat assignment?
yeah,
But then from New Guinea you went to another island, didn't you? What was the other island you went to?
the Philippines.
You were in the Philippines,
Yeah.
but not this. You weren't just on one island, were you?
Oh no, I went to New Guinea, Luzon, Leyte, and then Luzon. In fact, if you saw a picture of the Great Escape, Colonel Henry Busey from Bridgeport, Connecticut, I was there when they released all our prisoners who had been on that island for 3 years. And I was on a hospital ship. So they came from Leyte. And none of us who were on the ship, we had to wait till everybody was on shore. I don't know why they did this. Let them board the boat. But when the guys got a boat, and this one guy and I started talking, and he told me what they did, how it was like, and
Now you're talking about Colonel Musey from
and
Bridgeport?
Colonel Busey was the run. They just had it on TV, didn't they, Alva?
Yeah, they're being interviewed.
And
So did you ever get to meet him?
hmm?
Did you get to meet him, Colonel Musey? Did you get to meet him, Colonel Musey?
Meet him?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
So at that time you got to meet him, and they had just come back from the raid rescuing the prisoners. Is that correct?
yeah.
So now you had been on these different islands and these different combat zones over quite a period of time. Were you ever wounded? And if so, talk about what happened to you. Wounded. Did you get some hit in the mouth, or did something hit you in the mouth?
Yeah.
What
The
happened?
first time it was when I got hit in the legs. We were on Lady, and I got hit on both sides. The thigh part of my legs.
Hit as in
Yeah.
with bullets. You shot
Yeah,
bullets,
and then
and then they took you to a hospital to fix you. Is that what they did?
no, we had to stay there. They had no hospital set up yet. They hadn't moved in. But then they bought this hospital ship, a lady, and took us wounded who were left there by the 32nd, while the 32nd went to go to the next spot, which was Luzon.
So you went to a hospital ship to be treated for the gunshot wound you
Yeah,
had. Is that correct?
the division left, and all of us that got wounded, and
So did they, once you were treated for your injuries, were you sent back to a combat zone? You had to go back into combat?
oh yes,
Okay, and so
and that was on Luzon.
that was the first time you were wounded, but you were wounded a second time, correct? Did you say you got hit in the teeth with shrapnel? Is that what happened to you?
That was in Luzon. It should have
Yeah,
that.
but was it, talk about what happened. Do you remember you got hit in the mouth with, was it, you said it was a piece of shrapnel, was it?
Yeah,
And it knocked your teeth out?
yeah.
Okay. And,
Eh,
yeah,
Okay, I have a set for those that they don't work. I have them in my drawer.
so you were wounded twice,
Yeah,
and you received a Purple Heart. Can you hold up the Purple Heart you have? That's one of them. You actually have, two Purple Hearts, don't you?
yeah. A oak leaf cluster represents your second.
Can you turn that, hold it
You
close?
see this here? Oak leaf cluster. That's 2 Purple Hearts. That's why they sent me 2. They sent one home to my mother. The Red Cross. Who were those ladies out of them?
Red Cross,
Was it the Red Cross?
I think so, John.
So, when the war ended, what, were you on one of the islands?
Yeah, I was on Lausanne. And while I was there, standing there, the war was all over. First time we heard the war was over. We all sat down, you know. And I remember there was a bunch of Japs, we had prisoners there. We had them in a little circle with just a rope to keep them. And I walked over and I looked at them. I said, well, this is who I was scared of. I was thinking to myself. And they were skinny. They were as bad as we were, you know. And this one Jap looks up at me and he wanted a cigarette. So I gave him the cigarette. And then the other guys come up. To me, the war was over. Yeah.
Do you have any friends that you met in the service that you stayed friends with, that you, after the war was over?
Yeah. Well, there's this a guy named Mandler, Kyle Mandler, from New London. Him and I stayed together, same place all the way through it.
And you stayed in touch after the war?
What's that?
You stayed in touch with him
Oh,
after
yeah.
the war?
In fact, we got a letter, and he died. After we got home, and he died in New London. Alvin and I went to his funeral. And then his wife died just recently, and we still have the letter here.
Now, let me ask you, you stayed in touch with your family. In fact, where is that V-mail? I wanted to look at that V-mail. You stayed in touch with your family during...
Oh, here they are. This is V-mail.
Well, now you just ripped it
Okay. There was another part to that.
Yeah.
under here.
So, were you getting letters, John, during the war?
Sometimes we wouldn't get any. Then all of a sudden they were able to get the mail and bring it up to us.
Okay. Now this is a V-mail. Elva, can you hold that up so I can get a picture of that? Hold on to that 1 second. Okay, and that was the typical type of mail that was sent during
Yeah.
the war, a V-mail.
E.
A what?
E.
Email? They called it an email?
Oh, no, V-mail.
It says
You're right.
V-mail.
A V-mail, yeah.
V-mail. We used to call it email.
Okay, thank you. So, the war ended, you were still in the Pacific. You were never sent to Japan? You never had to go
No.
over to Japan?
Oh, tell them about Catherine.
The company I was with, they went to Japan. But they come up and said, Tagg, you're going home.
Okay. what was Elvis starting to say? You captured what?
The Japanese colonel or that you captured, you
Oh.
were
Yeah.
there, Hiroshima or something like that. Tell them about it.
Yeah, MacArthur took this Jap general, took him to Manila and hung him right there then. And
You were there during that? You went to that?
I didn't go to Japan.
No.
No,
Then us guys who had a little more difficulty and a little longer, they said, you guys are going home.
No,
he's missing the point. You were often told where you had to go up this hill. Can you shut that off?
No, go ahead. Just keep talking.
Where you went up the hill and you had to capture that Japanese colonel or something.
Yeah.
Who was he? Hiroshima or something like that? You often told us.
Yeah, and that's the one
The 32nd Division.
that Mandler escorted back. And he
So
told me,
you were involved in capturing a Japanese colonel, am I
yeah,
hearing that?
yeah, general, yeah,
A general.
yeah.
Okay, which you later turned over to authorities.
Yamashita,
Yamashita.
Yamashita.
You were involved in capturing of Yamashita.
Yeah, yeah,
And he was subsequently executed?
yeah. And this Mandler, he was from Connecticut, New London. And when they sent me down,
The man who helped you capture him?
Mandler did, yeah.
Okay. During your experiences, you didn't receive one Bronze Star, but you actually received 3 Bronze Stars. And one of them, could you hold this Bronze Star up so we can see that Bronze Star?
This is Purple Heart.
Yeah, we got the Purple Heart. Hold that Bronze Star up. Tilt it toward me a little bit. Now that's a Bronze Star with an oak leaf cluster. And there's a citation that describes a night and a battle in, I guess it was in New Guinea, and it explains.
Oh, right there, yeah.
In your own words, can you talk about what happened that resulted in you winning a Bronze Star? Do you talk about that night a little bit? You helped apparently with wounded men. Was it the Japanese were firing at you? Am I correct in that? The Japanese were firing at you and you wounded your men, and you had to drag your men to safety? Do you recall that night?
When Campbell got his arm.
Oh,
Georgia Bell.
what'd you say, Alvin?
Georgia Bell. And how about Campbell?
Georgia Bell. Oh, he's the one who, he was dying. Oh, I dragged him out and pulled him over towards medical aid. And then I had to leave him there because we just couldn't move. And he had been in the foxhole I'd been in. But he was.
You were, if I understand the citation, your outfit was exposed to enemy fire,
Yeah,
and you were on a perimeter, defending the perimeter, is that correct?
yeah,
And when one of your men got wounded, you exposed yourself to enemy fire by going to rescue your man. Is that the reason that you got the Bronze Star?
yeah.
Right. Is there anything else
think it's
that
this-
you recall from
I
that?
think that's this one here.
Yeah. Can you turn that so we can see that? Yeah, that's the citation that you received for your Bronze Star. Okay. Do you recall anything else about about that evening and what happened? Do you remember that? Is that still,
No,
don't remember?
some of the things,
Okay. Anything else about during the war, people, experiences or anything else that you can recall during the war? Any other experiences?
I have something that might be a little comical. You ever hear Toots LeMay, Bud LeMay? She was one of the, oh, you're too young. She was one of the Red Hot Mothers, a singer from one of the nightclubs in Bridgeport. And when we got to
The Philippines.
this place, I think it was in New Guinea, and I'm looking, and there's a shell caught in a tree, one of our shells, and there was some guy standing there looking at it, you know. I looked at him, and it was Bud LeMay from Bridgeport, Connecticut. First one I met. How ridiculous, you know? 'Cause
You're on the island and you happen to meet a guy that you knew from
yeah,
Bridgeport,
and
Connecticut.
there was nobody there but us. You know, there were some guys on the beach just coming up.
Talk a little bit about did you feel pressure or stress at being in the combat zone? Did you feel a lot of stress on you?
I guess we all did. You know,
Talk
Yeah.
about your feelings a little bit. What did you feel being there? That's okay. What about
yeah.
entertainment?
See, like that question is all the different guys, and we try to help each other. But we tried to help each other. We did, you know,
What-
if you had extra food, if you didn't have any,
You shared your food.
yeah.
Were there any entertainers or entertainment during that you recalled while you were in the service?
Yeah.
On the islands?
I saw Bob Hope. Imagine it, Bob Hope I saw.
Do you remember what island you were on when you saw him?
I was on Luzon.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he put a USO show on,
Yeah.
and
It was Francis Langford, Bob Hope.
you never got any kind of leave during that time.
No.
No, you were stayed in there. And I saw the photograph of you in the service. This was probably, that photograph was probably taken. Hold that photograph up, will you, of yourself? That was taken when you were inducted, I assume. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well,
Can
this
you
was,
turn it this way so I can see that? Yeah.
this was I could see, I was in the Black Hawk Patch. I was in the 86th Division, but I did not see combat with them. I left them. They sent me down to towards Australia. I went right to New Guinea.
Okay. Well, now, you never kept any kind of diary or any record on your own, did you? No. Okay.
No.
The day service, the day that war ended, you said you were still on the island, and then am I correct? You're still on Luzon,
Yeah.
and then they told you to go home. Am I correct? Is that what you said before?
Yeah.
In other words, by going home meaning coming back to the States, correct? So when you came back to the States, where did you go?
Same place I came,
Texas?
and to California, San Francisco. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
San Francisco. They had a
then
sign
when
there.
you go to San Francisco, is that when you, when they, your enlistment was up? Did they release you from
no,
the
no.
service?
No, we were still in service.
Okay.
The whole time till he come home. Then we were discharged in Massachusetts, Fort Devens.
So
but-
you went from San Francisco to Fort Devens,
Yeah.
and that's where you were discharged?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when we left Fort Devens, when we left San Francisco, they had a sign. Through these portals passed the best soldiers. We come home to the same spot in San Francisco. We're on the boat, we look up. They came home through the same spot in San Francisco, and
So you came through the same spot.
then it says, and they proved it. In other words, we beat the Japs.
You came home, you were discharged from the service. You remember coming home the day that you came home to your home in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
Do you recall that day? Do you recall who was there, who you saw, who you met?
Who met you at the station? Who met you at the station?
I think my father was the worst. My father and mother were the first ones I saw. We lived on Harold Avenue in Bridgeport.
Okay, so you came back home. Now you get reacclimated to being at home. What did you do? What did you start working? What did you do after you got out? You're now out of the service. Do you recall what you did?
He was pretty sick when he got home.
I stayed home for 3 months and just relaxed. Well, quite a few of us did that. And then I got a job with the WWII company. And geez, I think we worked 11 hours a day. That's
Okay, so you got a job, and you're working for. Now that isn't where you spend most of your time working, though. What did you do most of your career? What was the company? Was it the Bridgeport Hydraulic?
Bridgeport Hydraulic Company.
So you worked for the Bridgeport Hydraulic Company
Yeah.
for how many years?
I had about
32.
33 years, something like that.
So you ended up retiring from the hydraulic
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
And you married Elva in what year was that?
1947.
1947. And how many children did you and Elva have?
5 boys and 3 girls.
Okay, and many of them are still in the area. How many grandchildren do you have now?
Alva would know
Can you
that.
count that?
Can you tell?
About 17.
17. And are there any great grandchildren?
Yeah. There's.
So there's more than a couple of great. So there's.
14.
It's a big
14.
family.
14.
A big family, and I know you annual outings, family outings were always very big because there were so many Taggs in your family.
Yeah.
You went on to join your vet. Now, did you ever use your GI Bill?
No.
You never used your GI Bill.
No.
But you joined the Veterans Organization, which is the VFW. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, and the Legion. American Legion and VFW.
Okay. And I believe you ended up becoming a Grand Marshal of a parade one year. Is that correct?
3 years I was a Grand Marshal.
3 years.
Yeah.
Can you hold that picture up so we can see that? Turn it this way.
This is one of them. Yeah.
Now that's when you were Grand Marshal of the parade.
Yeah.
And so you've lived your life, most of your life here. You moved to Shelton, Connecticut, and you spent the last, what would you say?
45 years. Yeah.
25 years?
45.
45 years here in Shelton. And what effect do you think that your military experiences had on you? What did, being in the war, being in the military and so forth, do you think that had an effect on you? And if so, what?
I think it had an effect on all of us.
In what way?
Very influential.
You just felt it affected your life, but in ways you can't describe, that you just know it affected you. Is there anything that in this interview that I missed that we should talk about? Is there anything you want to add about your experiences or anything else, John?
Do you call anything you ever talked about while we're doing this?
What, me? Are you asking me?
Well, that's okay. If nothing comes to mind, it's all right. We're going to conclude this interview now.
He was, commander of the WWII Tagg's quartermaster.
Okay. Experience with the VFW as a commander.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service to the country, John. The country owes you a great debt of gratitude. Thank you very much.